Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Would you join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
much. Okay, we did our call to the order. Do we have an approval of the agenda? Do you have any changes you want to do? One thing that was asked on the consent items was it was asked that we remove the special meeting minutes of April 22nd for discussion. Do you have any problem with that, or?
Chair, I would approve the agenda as follows, although I understand there is an objection to the April 22nd minutes. So I would suggest that we put those to the side.
Okay, John, do you have any comment?
No, I agree with putting it to the side for now. I've got them in front of me here and I
Okay,
don't.
all right. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do I hear a
I
second?
sec-
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Okay, we are at the public comment portion. We will entertain any public comments. Please keep it to 3 minutes.
I told
And-
him, I don't see him there, but I told him after the consent and action items.
Oh, well, on the agenda was public comment, but we can go into the consent items unless there's any objection from anybody else. Oh, well, Holly had had raised her hand. So what would you like to do? Well, let's just go ahead and do the consent agenda items. That'll only take a moment. Do I hear a motion to accept the agenda items minutes of April 5th and April 19th?
I'll make a motion, Chair, to approve the regular meetings minutes of April 5th, April 19th on the consent items.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved, with the April 22nd set aside for discussion. And now we can go to public comment. Okay, if you would, please raise,
Vouchers,
pardon?
vouchers,
Do you want to do the vouchers? Is that, well,
consent and action items.
okay.
I will make
Okay.
a motion that we accept the action items, payment of the general vouchers number 2105020001 to 21050028 for $49,280.98. Action item B, I'll make a motion to approve payment of vouchers number 2105010001 to 2105010010 for $18,341.33. Action item B, I'm making a motion to approve payment of water fund vouchers number 2105030001 to 2105030005 for $6,132.21.
Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 So moved. Finally, now we can go to public comment. Sorry about that, everybody. There was a request from Brad to speak. I don't see him here, so go ahead if there's anybody else. Holly?
He might be on Ken's,
Okay,
because he was going to go to Ken's house after.
yeah, but I don't see Ken making any
Ken.
movement. And if you would,
He's
please,
on-
everybody, if you want to speak, raise your hand. And there is a little icon in the bottom with the chats that you can, there we go. It looks like you both popped up at the same time, so Ken, I'll have Ken first. Is that
Oh,
okay?
Holly had her hand raised quite a bit before me.
Okay, so we'll go with Holly. Holly, thank you.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate it. And hello, commissioners. Holly Kochi here, governmental affairs consultant for the Port of Allyn. It was great to see all of you during the ribbon cutting today. I wanted to touch base with you all about coming to visit during another meeting to provide you with an end of session update. As you know, the state legislature adjourned on April 25th on the 105th day of session, ending on time. So that's great. The port definitely had another great year, and I would like to share that news with you all, in addition to sharing an update on the state's budget and what the port can prioritize for the next session and what we can do moving forward. I know your next meeting is June 7th, I believe. So if it's possible for me to join during that time, probably need about 30 minutes of your time, but would love to hear what works for you guys.
Yeah, that would be good, but we'll touch base with you. Yes, that sounds pretty good to me. Not sure about the rest.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Great. I will communicate with Larry, and hopefully I'll see you on June 7th.
all right. Ted, you're muted if you want to unmute yourself. Okay, is that it, Holly?
Yep, that's it. Thank you, guys.
Okay, Ken?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where we're at on the agenda. I kind of got lost there. When were you going to talk about those, the one consent item?
Well, we have, I think Brad wanted to talk too, so probably after that we can discuss, or go ahead and share what you have. That might be most appropriate.
About,
Ken.
yeah, well, and then I do have some public comments, but I didn't want them to be all tied into my public comment.
Okay,
So where are you going to put that on the agenda?
if it's all right with everybody else, let's do it after the public comment, and then we can, because we can then decide what we want to do with that when we're done.
Okay.
So we'll do it after the public comment.
Okay, so I'll launch into my public comments. You just approved the agenda, and item 10D on your agenda, is it still approving the resolution 422?
Yes, we had to do some changes
Yeah.
because,
So is that still on the agenda
yes.
to adopt it again?
Yeah, the reason is, and maybe we should have another number on it just so that we can verify. Peninsula Federal Credit Union does not do government agencies.
So the
K-Bank does.
action, so the action you took at that special meeting didn't pertain to anything.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
Well, I
no.
guess we'll talk about that at the special meeting. Okay.
I can clarify that.
Okay, thank you.
We were working with Peninsula Credit Union and getting them the documentation when Jen found out that they are not a qualified public depository. So we have to redo it. And yeah, we'll need a different resolution number for Kitsap Bank.
So it'll be 23, 420.
Yeah.
Be 23.
Okay,
Okay.
well, let's
Well,
change. Thank you, Ken.
well, you can see why it was a little confusing. So I'll launch into my public comment. I was looking through the meeting vouchers and all the meeting materials, and that's where I got caught up with that consent agenda. So I'll just save that for when you talk about that. Before the April meeting last month, I sent an email to you all about public comment. And I think at the April meeting, the public comment said to please restrict our comments. Tonight, it's please limit your comments. It's much more appealing to anybody that's trying to make public comment. And thank you for doing that, whoever changed it. Public comment should be welcome, not restricted. I'd like to ask when the executive director gives his report that he expands a bit on the director's report. And I'd like the commission to discuss a little bit more about Sweetwater Park. Before that April meeting last month, I sent you all the voluntary cleanup program opinion letter and the 33-page document that was written by the Department of Ecology under RCW 70-150D. That report in that 33-page document is where the concern was voiced about the possible underground storage tank still being on site and the sampling used for the arsenic levels. They weren't unfounded claims made by me. It was an ecology opinion. Given that the project didn't get funded, again, I think the port needs to drop it from the comprehensive scheme and not seek any more grants, especially for acquisition of private properties. That particular property, the Schindelheim property, was attained by the school district in a 1997 acquisition grant. And that was written by Neil Werner back when he was in charge of the Salmon Enhancement Group or whatever it was. There's long-term grant obligations that have not been kept in compliance with. Next year, it's 25 years since that property's been obtained. In my opinion, the property should be returned to the RCO or whoever the granting agency was. The second thing I wanted to ask that the executive director expand on a little bit is the need for the coordinated water system plan that he talked about in the water issues, and where that coordinated water plan came from. That's a coordinated water plan for the entire county, and the need to convince the county commissioners of it. I know Mr. Capola mentioned Kel Rowan in the little write-up he did, but she didn't suggest that coordinated water plan. I think the port should get out of the water business and reach out to PUD #1 and have them take a look at managing the water system. That's what they're in the business of doing. So that's all my comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Chair, can I respond to one of the things? Mrs. Van Buskirk, if the Port of Allyn were to get out of the water district, would you prefer that PUD 1 take over the whole water district south of the Lakeland Village, or would you prefer that a water district take over Lakeland Village?
No, maybe I misspoke, Mr. Jackson. I meant to say that the port should reach out to PUD 1 and have them come talk to the port about what they can do. When Belfair Water District was having an issue here several years ago, I reached out to PUD 1 and they came and spoke at a voice meeting. That's what they're in the business of. I'm sure they could work something out and not have a conflict.
And Ken, I apologize for using your first name. Please use my first name. But
okay,
Mr. Brad Carey and I had a long conversation today, and I'm still trying to figure out where we're at. And I want to make sure that the Port of Allyn is on every legal footing that we can run the water system, but I do not want to intrude on, and this is, and I apologize to the other commissioners, but this is my dialogue. I don't want to intrude on Mr. Carey's system. So where do we go? I've been asking, how do we get here, or how we got here, and where do we go from here? And I know the Port of Allyn is supposed to develop economic development. And I want to see Mr. Carey's system flourish, but I want to see another water system flourish, but I don't have any trust in the Washington water system, nor do I have any trust in the PD1 water system. So, and I can't thank Leanne and Larry for providing me enough information, and I'm just trying to learn. So please tell me where you think we need to go, and I will jot it down and do some more research.
Yeah, I'd suggest invite PUD1 to a commissioner meeting. They manage
Okay.
they manage a lot of systems.
So if we were to do PD1, would you rather have PD1 take over the whole water system, and that would be the Port of Allen, the Uric system, and the Washington Water Power System, and then Lakeland Village?
No, I just, the Port District right now. I mean,
And that's what I'm trying to figure out, Ken. I'm trying to figure out why everybody wants the Port of Allen out of the water system.
well, the
But-
PUD1 has a water district manager right on their staff.
Put it away.
So,
Excuse me, I'm speaking. But at the same time, PD1 just got broken into, and they just had $33,000 worth of losses with a burglar system. So I'm trying to figure out, how are people upset with the water product coming out of the Port of Allen?
I have no idea. I don't, as a Port District taxpayer, I don't appreciate paying into water that I'm not going to use over here in Belfair.
And I pay up here in Lakeland, and I pay down at the port, but I'm just trying to figure out, and believe me, Ken, I'm just trying to learn. I don't mean to be confrontational.
No.
And I know Brad's on here, and Brad, you and I had this conversation. I'm just trying to learn what's the best for our community. We have a small community. We have a protected community. We have an amazing community. I'm just trying to learn. I really am.
Yep, no offense.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Anybody
That's all.
else?
I apologize, Chair.
Well, I might add, we have had PUD1 come and talk to us about the water system in the past. It was too small for them at the time. This has been a while. There are other ports. There are 2 other ports in the Washington state that have water systems like similar to us. One is Othello. They have a water system. It's not unique. We've had no major complaints from those who are on our water system, at least that I've been aware of. We've been working with others well. So I don't see any need personally to invite PUD1 other than, maybe the conflict with, or not the conflict yet, but with Jeff's water system. But that's really where this all started. Nobody really cared before because we've been doing good. At least that's my opinion. So there we go. John, any word? Then
Sure. So, I mean, it's certainly worth exploring some equitable resolve on the part of their interest, obviously, in trying to develop their water system, which I can completely understand. But what I'm seeing is part of the problem is a dialogue that has a lot of emotions in it, instead of getting specifically to the details of the things that they think that we're not in compliance of as a port. That would be really important. That way we don't have to cipher through some of those emotional, in the future, I would really like to see that kind of an exchange between the complaints and the concerns that there is out there regarding that with this couple individuals. So that's really all I got at this point for Mr. Van Buster in response to him, is that we sure want to see an economic development parallel our efforts. And I know that everybody shares that here, sir. But I'd really like to see a better exchange where we can get right into the meat and potatoes, because the burden is really on those. We don't have to prove that we're in compliance if we're in compliance. That being said, or prove that there aren't issues there. I'm certainly open and welcome to identifying with any specifically their concerns, and still find, regardless of whether they find there's, if they think they found or got something figured out, we want to work with the community. So, I'm certainly in no position yet to make a huge decision there, but I don't see any issue right now with the direction it's going, except that I'd like to see equitable resolve where all parties can walk away.
I didn't
Happy.
expect to have a big dialogue with you folks. I basically just wanted to give my public comment and ask the executive director to expand on those two items that I mentioned.
Okay, well, maybe we misunderstood. We thought you'd want to have a healthy response, a civil discourse on that, but
No,
it's all good, right?
Excellent. Okay, before we go to the commissioner's report, would we like to deal with the April 22nd minutes? Ken?
oh, sure. If you want to talk about it right now.
Yeah, because if we need to make any changes, we'd like to go ahead and get those approved with any
Well,
changes.
I don't know how you can change it now, but I just want to mention that the way I found out about the special meeting, I was going through the meeting materials for tonight's meeting, and I saw the vouchers, and I saw that there was a voucher for Mr. Sheridan for hours in April, and I went, what? So then I looked down through all the materials and I discovered there's a special meeting on April 22nd. And the purpose was to appoint or swear in Mr. Sheridan and approve that resolution 422. So I went, well, this is odd, because special meetings are supposed to be only for something that's urgent and couldn't wait until the regular meeting, which is tonight. And I looked at the application for the vacancy of the blank position, and the time frame right in that vacancy said the appointment would be this evening, not on the 22nd. I didn't see any kind of notice for that special meeting, and I assume that all of you, somebody submitted a voucher for all of you for that meeting. And, for a 15-minute meeting for all three of you to get paid $400 total or something like that, it just seems like in my opinion, a waste of our tax dollars when you could have done the same thing this evening rather than call a special meeting. And I think it's important that we talked about this before about special meetings, that you folks were going to go to training about open public meetings and public records. I think you need to follow through on that. And I don't know how something like this slipped through the cracks, because you were going to do that swearing in this evening. So that's pretty much why I brought it up, that you folks need to be held accountable for what you're doing. That's it.
Okay, well, that, like I had mentioned on the phone call, that one slipped by me about us stating it was supposed to be on the 3rd. I missed that one. I guess if we can get forgiveness and move forward.
No, you can't. Larry put that in the application.
I see Leanne's hand raised.
Who called the meeting?
Yeah, well,
Well,
like I told you. Go
Ken,
ahead.
it was Judy and I that called the meeting, and I'm looking for those minutes. Leanne, maybe you could help me out. I'm looking for the minutes of.
Leanne, you're muted. You're muted, Leanne.
Am I still muted? There.
No, you're good now.
Okay, I personally did a notice to the press prior to that meeting. The minutes were on the door, and yeah, that slipped by me too. I didn't see that it was going to be on the 3rd. One of the things we wanted was to include John in a ribbon cutting for for our launch improvements. So it wasn't for any other reason other than we didn't know it was previously posted that we were going to do it on the 3rd.
So
Yeah,
can
I
we
missed
do,
it.
Yeah.
and I can, we can't go backwards, but can we do this? Can we swear John in tonight?
I don't know if that works.
Okay,
'Cause he already has been and we have the paper.
he's already been sworn in, so.
Yeah. And paid.
There was nothing done at that meeting, and I can tell the public, it was nothing done at that meeting except swear Mr. Sheridan in as county, or excuse me, port commissioner. And I wish we videotaped it. I wish we did a lot more, and I apologize. I mean, yes, Ken, we are wrong. So I apologize.
For the record, does Mr. Van Busser, do you want us to read the minutes from that April 22nd, or what is it that you would like from us?
Ken, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I'm
Thank you.
unmuted now. You know, can you guys really feel good about taking a $130 stipend for a 15-minute meeting when it was a special meeting? Isn't to just get somebody on board so they can go to a ribbon cutting. The special meeting is something that is so urgent that it can't wait till the next regular meeting. And even in the application, it says that the swearing in was going to be this evening. Mr. Coppola is your executive director. He's the one that wrote that application or put it together, I would assume. He's the one that's accountable. It should be reflected in his performance rating. So you don't have to redo anything, but just keep it in mind when you do his performance rating.
Larry, you have your hand up?
Yes, I do. What was urgent about the meeting was the fact that we were trying desperately to get a bank of record for our petty cash account. We have a financing application for the new pay station that's pending that we can't move forward with until we get a petty cash account established. That was the reason. The bank has sat still with us for going on a month over this. The vendor has the machine ready to deliver. We can't move forward with it until we have a petty cash account. We talked to Peninsula Credit Union. They said, oh yeah, we can do this, no problem. And we didn't find out until the last minute that they couldn't. And that was after the meeting was held. So that's what that was about. That was the urgency for the meeting. And then we figured since we're having a meeting, might as well do this. There wasn't a whole lot more to it. And as far as getting paid for the meeting, that's law. That's the law. We can't just have a meeting without, an official meeting where the commissioners don't get paid. And just for the record, myself, Leanne, and Commissioner Sheridan and Commissioner Scott all attended the latest public records training that was held last week.
That was 3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ken. At least bringing that to mind. There was that mistake, and certainly we'll be more mindful of it next time. That's for sure. I mean, well, of anything. So I appreciate that. Okay. Any more public comment? Ken, your hand is still raised. Are you done? And you're also muted. Okay, seeing no more responses. Commissioners' reports. Ted, how about you?
Okay,
Oh,
You did it on purpose. Just unbelievable.
okay.
What?
Am I
Now,
on
wait
here
a minute.
now? Wait a minute. Coppola just muted me
Yeah,
when I was trying to talk.
I did not
Yeah.
mute anyone.
You surely
You know
did.
what?
You surely did. Brad sat right here with me and saw you
Oh,
do it.
goodness, that's
I
enough. That's
unmuted
enough.
you.
That
I
is enough.
unmuted you.
That's enough. Brad, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, let me scoot over, Ken, please. Yeah, we couldn't make it at 6 o'clock. We're right in the middle of training. Sorry, guys.
That's enough. 3 minutes. Your minutes start now.
Wait, drop the attitude, Ms. Chairwoman, please.
I
Okay,
will when you do yours, sweetie.
are you for real?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. That's not a public servant's attitude. Okay, we want to talk about RCW 5308-040, Section 4. Again, it's real simple. No consent. Then either get consent or surplus the water system. Now, it's important to note that we've put all the commissioners, I don't know John, but at least John can hear, we put all the commissioners on notice that we brought it to the port's attention that you're spending public's money on this, in enhancing the water system. And it looks like, you know, in my opinion, when I read in Larry's director report, he's going as fast as he can. That's a big mistake. I can tell you as a business owner, as a public servant. When you guys don't know whether you can go forward or not, and this is coming from Chris Curley, Council Curley, when I spoke to him, he wasn't sure. He couldn't tell me. He wanted more time. That you need to stop what you're doing, freeze all spending. And then, if in fact it's a legal finding is determined that you can move forward, then move forward. Otherwise, don't. Okay? By the way, Council Curley asked if I would go ahead and just step back for a while he got up to speed. I asked him when he'd be up to speed. He said he didn't know. I said, well, then that's not going to happen. Okay, also, I've submitted a tremendous amount of written questions at the request of the port to have those questions answered. To date, those questions have not been answered. I'd like those answered and in writing, please. All right, now also, I've done a lot of research on this water system. Commissioner Jackson asked a long time ago, and he still asks, how do we get to where we are? We've done the research. We can explain to how we got to where we are, and we should probably schedule a workshop to have that discussion. So I'd like the port to do that, or put me on the agenda, and I'm happy to talk for 15, 20, 30 minutes until you guys have looked at the records and can see what we've uncovered, okay? The final thing is this, is that I'm a taxpayer in this district. I'm not a voter, but I'm a taxpayer. And I'd like to know if the port has spent any of my tax dollars on the water system, or use my taxpayer Title 53 revenue for subsidizing both the connection fees and the monthly usage of water, okay? And actually, final thing, I did see the host mute Ken, and he did that to me last month's meeting as well. He did it to me. And I find it very insulting, very disrespectful, and I'm becoming of a public servant. Thank you. How'd I do?
Very good.
Okay, I'm gonna run
Thank
back to practice. Thanks, guys.
Okay,
I would like to say something here.
sure.
I did not mute Mr. Van Buskirk. I unmuted him because he was muted. I did not mute him. And he can say whatever he wants, and I will say that he is mistaken.
Leanne?
I have one response. I have done 2 public records training things in the last 3 months, just to make sure I'm on track with everything, with what's going on. And it is not up to us to answer questions. It is up to us to provide records for the public to answer their own questions. So making a list of answered questions for Mr. Carey is not what we do. We just provide the records and they can come up with their own answers. So, and that's been through 2 recent trainings I've been through.
I'd also like to add one other thing. Mr. Curley has not instructed me to stop spending money on the water system.
No, he did not.
I mean,
So,
when you
Leanne-
look through all the emails, that's just not the truth.
No, it's not the truth.
So if I could tell you that I've been a supervisor for both our three city, state, and county agencies. When it comes to public records, we provide the records. We do not offer opinion. We just provide the records. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, with that being said, wait, I see somebody making okay, very good. Commissioners' reports. Who'd like to go first?
I would like to go first. I attended the general meeting, the special meeting, and then off to the side, I just want to tell you that we're doing a project with the Port of Breakview with regard to salmon enhancement. It's a total side option deal. It's kind of like another hobby. So we went to we were graciously invited by the Fish and Wildlife to do a tour of the Coulter Creek Hatchery, Minnow Creek Hatchery, and after 30 years of Fish and Wildlife, I learned a lot more. So we are trying to get the salmon back into North Bay, and it's a neat group of people. They are very passionate. They're very educated. I'm very happy to be around them, and we meet at least once a week. We have another meeting hopefully next week with the area habitat biologist, but we're talking species of salmon that comes through North Bay and comes up Sherwood Creek and Coulter Creek, and it's been very interesting. So I don't charge this to the port. It has nothing to do with the port, except that I just get the little Port of Allyn commissioner trying to get something done. So it's a great group. If you want to join, let me know. We are trying very hard to figure out what the heck happened to our salmon run. We're getting closer to figuring out what happened, and I hope one of these days I could write something up that would benefit the Port of Allyn. So, and I've also talked to somebody about dredging North Bay. So I've been reaching out to see if we can do some dredging. And the Port of Allyn actually has some clout, by the way. So we may need to dredge about 15 to 20, about 100 yards to get our larger boats in there. So I've been looking at that. So I know we have to do a lot of permitting. We have to protect the shellfish. And so, but that's my report.
Good. Thank you very much, Ted. John?
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. So mine's pretty short because I'm getting my feet wet, right? So as a commissioner for District 3 now, I was sworn in on that in April, and then we looked at that issue with the banking issue that unfortunately after the fact the bank brought it to the executive director's attention that they couldn't do what they said they can do. So that's why that's being changed, and the number will be 2. And then recently I went to a public records training at the office there in Port of Allyn for several hours. It's a little dry, but it's very, very important. And that's our responsibility. Our job is to provide all the records and understand what it is we can and can't do, why we do the best for the best interest of the community and what we can provide for them. Not the answers, but the ability to be transparent with everything we do and provide those records. That's our job. And that's what I got. That's what I took away from it. That's an important one. And that's not to say that we can't learn and understand the information and have an opinion, but it's not our job to have an opinion about what a record actually is. That's something that we have to split hairs on in a different venue, if you will. And then finally, today was a ribbon cutting and a nice little event that was no pun intended, but the efforts have been paved the way in order to have that accomplishment, to relieve some of the pressure for the busy days down there at the launch ramp. that's really what that was about. And that's in the best interest of the community, of course, too, because it brings in a lot of people to this community. So the more people that can come here and enjoy the port, the better. And now that helps, you know. And then during the earlier, followed by that, is I met the executive director, James Thompson, which is an important contact, because I've got things to learn and better understand not just my responsibilities. Well, I understand what my responsibilities are, but how I can best serve the community by learning more about what other ports are doing. There's no sense in reinventing the wheel if somebody's doing something very well. And so, you know, I mean, ports are only, you think about it, we're a young nation, and then you got ports in the Washington State area. 10 years after the Port of Seattle created their world over there in 1911, we became a port of Allyn. So I think a lot's been accomplished in the last 100 years, and we just want to continue to do a job here that's going to reflect on that. So that's all I'm learning. So that's where I'm going to finish my report there. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And
Hey,
welcome.
Chair, can I jump in one quick moment? After 3 years, we finally got something done, and I'm very proud of it. And one of these days we'll make it public, but I'm very proud of the work we've done after 3 years, getting something done. I can't thank Larry, Travis, Leanne for getting this thing done. You don't know how important it is to me to just see this stuff done. And I hope we just announce it to the world. But we are on the cutting edge of surveillance. I'm very proud. So.
Yeah, that's great. And getting the cameras in, of which Larry will talk about in a minute.
Okay.
I went to my first EDC meeting. Well, first I did the regular meeting April 5th, and April 8th I did the EDC meeting, and it's exciting to see what they're doing, and I'll keep you updated once I learn more on that one. And then, of course, April 19th, our interview with the commissioners, then the 22nd, swearing in John, which is great. And April 24th was a Tohuya Forest cleanup day, and Tohuya Forest is partly in my district as well. And so I fed 35 people. There were lots of volunteers out there cleaning up the forest. So it was pretty, even in spite of the rain, there was a lot of people. And of course, I went on the North Mason Community Board meeting. And there was a statistic that's pretty frightening about suicide, and it's youth suicide. And so we will probably have a forum with some counselors, or a counselor, that's a local counselor, May 27th at the hub. At least that's pretty much scheduled that we're going to do. I mean, this is not port related, it's just information thrown out there, and you know, it concerns our community in drastic ways.
Can you please give me a time?
Yes, I will. It's going to be 7 o'clock,
Okay.
May 27th, which is a Monday, and we'll be at the hub, which
Okay,
is on Old Belfair Highway, 111 Old Belfair.
got it.
I can't remember the name of the counselor, but she's across from the Belfair Baptist Church, and it's in the Belfair Landing. She's in that locale. And then we're going to try to get a few other people too. And then also April 29th, I did the public records class that was from 9 to noon. So there we go. And of course, today our ribbon cutting, which was great. Lots of good people there. And I think that's it. Now, security officers report. Larry.
All right. April 13th, 1,530 hours. Jeff Walker's vessel in storage moorage at the North Shore has quite a gap between the dock and the pier. Called him to let him know, and he thanked me and said he'd be down right away to resecure the vessel. Had a few days of moderate to high winds that just loosened the moorage lines. 4:25, hours 12:50. Received a call from Mason County Utilities about a damaged water line that he thought might belong to the Port of Allyn water system near the sewer pump station. Reached out to Don and the executive director about finding out if it was the port's water line. After some phone calls and Don arriving at the site, it was determined it was not a Port of Allyn water line. And that is his report.
Okay,
So, one question, Larry, do we have a training, set up? I know you and I have been talking through this, but do we have a training set up for our security officer with the, new system?
Not yet. I'll go
Okay.
into that in just a
Okay.
minute here.
All right.
Okay.
okay. Okay, go ahead and do your executive director's report, Larry.
Okay, financial issues. We've received our property tax payments, and as you probably noticed, our general fund vouchers are significantly higher than they have been for the past few months. Besides the staging area project, engineering for the Oyster House, and installation of the camera systems, we had some maintenance issues we needed to address, including a major repair to the heat pump in the building. The camera systems at all 3 locations, plus the Oyster House engineering, are 100% reimbursable from project grants, while the cost of the paving, rock, and fencing for the staging area, which completes that project, are 75% reimbursable. However, I've not previously turned in any reimbursements for admin costs, Don's labor, or any out-of-pocket expenses for that project, which I will do with the final billing. That should lessen the cost impact to the required 25% match by somewhere between 6 and 10%. Fortunately, we're able to hold the line on costs enough so that we have not had to tap into our line of credit for any of the capital projects or anything else. Our established revenue streams are seemingly going to perform somewhat better than originally anticipated and budgeted, considering the COVID situation. We are accepting bookings for weddings and events at the Gazebo, and business is picking up. We booked a number of wedding and other events between now and September. It's still my recommendation, and while we go ahead and update the comprehensive scheme, that we embark on no new projects this year. Instead, focus on completing the ones we currently have in process. While we're keeping spending to a minimum, we have little or no cushion for unplanned or unanticipated expenses like the heat pump. We'll also incur additional election costs as outlined in the letter I included in your packets from the county auditor. We do have expenses related to the new well, but these are coming out of the water fund and not our general fund. And as I stated earlier, I have heard nothing from the attorney, Mr. Curley, about curtailing spending on the water system. Water system issues. We continue moving forward with the new well. As reported previously, we're working with both Aspect Consulting and Northwest Water on planning and have signed contracts with both for their parts of it. We decided the best location for it is going to be up by the tank. While we already own the land and are moving forward with that site, we'll need to have it surveyed just to be sure where the property corners are so we know where we can drill. In spite of having an extension until March 2025, I strongly believe we need to move forward as quickly as possible while our system is generating revenue and connection fees to pay for it. The new well will allow us to service additional connections once we reach our currently allotted maximum. That said, I received a call recently from James Thompson, Executive Director of the Washington Public Ports Association. He told me the state is specifically looking for infrastructure projects to fund with the $7 billion it will be getting from the feds. And he said he was calling every port asking if they had any that might qualify. Told him about the well project, and he called me again last week to reaffirm that, as it seems water projects will be a priority. Also spoke with Joe Cederlin from Cederlin Construction about extending our water lines the length of Wheelwright Street, as well as in some other places. He will be building on both sides of Wheelwright and be running sewer lines there to service the houses he's building. We discussed the logistics of him running our water lines in the same ditch. We'll need to install some fire hydrants while we're doing that as well. On Friday, I had a call from Kel Rowan of the county about fire flow. She was relieved to know that all of our lines are 8 inches and can accommodate the required amount of fire flow. She's meeting with the Public Works Director and the Fire Marshal this week and said we may be hearing from one or both of them shortly to confirm exactly where our lines are. In line with Commissioner Jackson's belief, we only need one water system at the Allyn UGA. I had previously reached out to Washington Water via a letter to see if they're interested in selling their system to us. I received a response saying no, they're not interested in selling. However, they may be interested in working with us to convince the county commissioners of a need for a coordinated water system plan for the entire county. Also mentioned this to Kel Rowan when we spoke, and she is on board with this as well. I'll have more on this as it moves forward. I'd like to address Mr. Van Buskirk's question about that. This seems like an appropriate time. The need for a coordinated water system plan for the entire county will be helpful so no one system overlaps another system service area. Everybody will know what they're supposed to do and where they're supposed to be. We are one of the few counties that does not have this. So I feel very strongly we need to move forward with trying to get the county to adopt one. Doing that will probably require some public process that will involve all the water purveyors in the county to work on. But, you know, like I said, more on this as it moves forward. On your agenda tonight also is a discussion and vote on what to do with Jeff Carey's request for using our well as a test well for his water right application. Security camera issues. Our cameras in all our locations are up and running. However, we still have some rather complex software to install on phones and computers, and we need to aim the cameras correctly. That'll all happen this week. Also, we're going to buy a flat screen TV, install it in the office to display the camera feeds from all three places. The software is really, really difficult. It's not difficult to use once it's set up, but the setup of it is real difficult. So I'll be working with Security Lines tech guys, Seamus, and I will get it installed on Leanne's computer and then figure out what we have to do to get it on camera phones, mine and Travis's and some others. And then I'll be able to give Travis a tutorial about how it all works, and Don. So that's the story with that, you know, but we should have everything, all the wrinkles ironed out of it by the end of the week. Update to fee structure. Public hearing is on your agenda for discussion and potential adoption. I've included a list of recommendations of fee updates for you to consider as a result of gathering information from other similar facilities. And my recommendations are based on that research. I also, I think I sent you 2 copies of the recommendations, and one you want to use for this is the one that says revised fee structure. New pay station, we're waiting for this to be delivered and installed. I'd hope to have it ready for the beginning of boating season, but a glitch in the financing developed when the manager at Peninsula Credit Union couldn't understand that we're a government entity and don't need a business license. The payments need to come out of the petty cash account, as according to the state auditor, they can't legally come out of the holding account, which is the only other bank account we have other than the tax account. It turns out that Peninsula Credit Union isn't a governmental depository, so we will set up a new account at Key Bank. We've met with them and everything is ready to go. There's a resolution on your agenda to approve this. HPA permit, Commissioner Jackson asked me to secure this permit so we can work over in and over the water while filling out permit forms online. He asked me to supply some additional documents, which I wasn't sure we had, including a SEPA checklist. Talking to Bill Ray about this, he's reviewed it and gotten me what we need and are missing to wrap it up. Website updates. It's time for our website to undergo a bit of a refresh, some new pictures, perhaps some new features like a webcam, and we can probably use our new cameras for some of that. Commissioner Jackson has connected us with a drone photographer who's going to do some pictures for us when the weather's right and our marina is full to add to the site. In the interest of public transparency, we've posted our public records request log on the website so the public can see who is filing the request, exactly what they're requesting and how much it's costing the port, and ultimately the taxpayers of our district in terms of staff time and legal fees. This is an evolving trend that other public agencies are embracing as well. Surplus issues are ready to move forward with this. All we need to do is set the date. Even though we're not required to, we're going to notice the sale in the journal as well as on our website and Facebook page. Don and Leanne have cataloged everything with serial numbers, so we have a complete list of all items to be sold. We just need to set the date and publicize it. Port Centennial on Friday, September 10th, 2021. The port will be 100 years old. We've set the date for a public open house event to celebrate this on Sunday, September 12th. We'll begin formulating plans in the near future. I'm planning on having some kind of commemorative plaque made as part of a permanent monument. Belfair artist James Kelsey has provided a rough sketch of what the artwork for the monument will look like, and I included that in your meeting packet. ESD issues. The Department of Employment Security was seeking over $1,700 in unemployment insurance and late fees for wages claimed by Brody O'Keefe. I responded with a letter saying Mr. O'Keefe was not an employee, but itinerant labor, only worked a total of 159 hours since 2018, hasn't worked for us at all since 2019, and didn't even earn the amount being sought by ESD in any single year. Apparently, no one bothered to read the letter, but I reached out to them again and finally got it squared away, and the claim for the fees have been dropped. Old business, the Oyster House. Our funding request for this project was included in the final capital budget, and we were awarded $344,000 to complete this project. However, we're still waiting on the Army Corps permit so we can take out the launch ramp when the fish window reopens later this year and start driving pilings. Meanwhile, Bill Ray says he expects the Army Corps permit before the fish window opens, but isn't exactly sure when. We're in a holding pattern until then. This is an issue that all other ports in the Kitsap All Ports Association are facing, of which we're a member of that association. And I have been tasked with writing a letter to Senator Kilmer about it. And also WPPA is working on this, as other ports besides Kitsap All Ports Association are dealing with the same issue. And the Pacific Northwest Waterways Association is also dealing with it. And I have a phone call scheduled tomorrow with somebody from that in coordinating with that. And WPPA is also setting up a meeting with Representative Kilmer, and I will be at that meeting. Sweetwater Park. This park didn't make the cut for WWRP funding. Legislature didn't fund as far down the list as this project was. We can resubmit it again, as well as look for other money. As directed previously, I reached out to Nick Acklin at DOE and asked him for a letter detailing exactly what we would need to do to re-enter Sweetwater Park into the voluntary cleanup program. He responded with an email with a bunch of links, and I previously forwarded it on to all of you. However, in my discussions with him, he did say he wasn't sure exactly what would specifically need to be physically done, and the port will have to bear the entire cost of whatever it turns out to be. There has been an unsubstantiated claim there is still another tank buried somewhere on the site, although no evidence has been brought forward to validate that claim or exactly where it might be. I read the letter Mr. Van Buskirk provided, and I believe he provided all of you with that same letter, and it doesn't detail that either. It says there might be one there. That's all it says, basically. So at this point, there isn't, excuse me, there isn't anything else that can physically be done in the way of a cleanup. The only other issue is the arsenic, which is naturally occurring throughout the Belfair area and not being generated specifically by this site. When the project is complete, the spot where the arsenic is present will be covered by asphalt, making it a non-issue. Staging area development project is complete. You all cut the ribbon this afternoon. Once the invoices have all been paid, I will turn in our reimbursements and close out the project. Transient Mort expansion project. This project is also complete with security camera installation. However, the grant closes on June 30th, and I'm going to keep it open until then, just in case something else comes up. There's approximately $50,000 left in that grant after the cost of the security cameras. All Ports meeting, the group met April 26th, and I've just covered what that was about. And criminalization of marina rules, Commissioner Jackson is working with the sheriff to move forward on this now that the cameras are in place. That's my report. Happy to answer questions.
Does anybody have questions? I have a comment, about the Sweetwater Park, because I did look through that document again, and just that document was from 16 years ago. And the document was prepared for the salmon enhancement group that was a large project, of which they were concerned about that area where Sweetwater Park is. 2 tanks have been removed that were on that project, is on Sweetwater Park property, which we own now. 2 tanks were removed, and the documentation is in that file. So, and again, it says there may be, not that there is, but there may be another tank, but I kind of seriously doubt it myself. And I'm just thinking from 16 years ago, there's been a lot, it's been fallow for a long time. So, you know, and also in regard to, even though this didn't get funded, you know, I have been at this for a while, and traditionally you keep applying. It's like the oyster house. Bonnie and I went down to the Capitol for 5 years, and it took 5 years. And that was us knocking at the door all the time. Of course, we thank Dan Griffey for helping us, and also our lobbyists, because that's really what greases the skids, I guess you could say. But you keep applying, you keep trying. And I think Sweetwater Park would really be a good project for for Belfair. You know, we don't get to do anything in Belfair. Okay, I'm sorry.
Can I
Off my
respond?
soapbox.
I have no problem with the park at Sweetwater Park. I do have a problem with our connections. As you and the previous commissioners did this, I would rather see us work with the school district. As ex-police chief, and I keep on saying this, is that I don't want to see a park next to a school, an elementary school, unless we have total understanding that the sheriff's department is going to be up there and enforce the regulations. I don't need a salmon enhancement group to sit there and tell me that we're going to do something. I want to see the county involved. And I'm sorry, Judy, I'll chair. I am very apologetic, but I don't think it's going to work unless we get the school district involved, the sheriff's department involved, and also the fire department involved. And I'm sorry. I think we can do something else. And with that property there, maybe it's time that we just start looking at just getting rid of it. So
Wow.
I don't want, there's also a 5 LLC group, Brian Peterson's property there. Has anybody tested that property with regard to arsenic? And I'm very
no.
concerned about that. So that's my concern. And
I guess that's why we don't get anything done in Belfair.
Well, it's not only getting things done, it's just doing it the right way.
We have been, at least I felt that we had been. We worked for 1.5 years to get that property.
And so have you, Judy, I'm new to the port. Have you talked to the, have you spoken to the Mason County school?
Not yet. And part of it too, Ted, is that, you know, as well as I do, is that things go in steps. And you can talk to them about, and they were well aware of what we wanted to do with it. When we asked for the transfer of it, they were well aware of it. They didn't want to do a park because they had this property. They didn't want to do anything with it.
I wouldn't do a park next to an elementary school, Judy. I really wouldn't. I just know, as a police chief, I wouldn't do a park next to an elementary school because I know what happens.
Okay, I guess that's why we don't get it. Yes, Leanne.
I was under the understanding that the school's moving.
I heard that too.
Yeah, so I don't know if it takes.
Maybe we
another
need to
10
talk to
years
the school
school.
superintendent and the school board.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
those buildings are old and they're thinking about moving. That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Folks, let me tell you, as an ex-police chief. When we had parks next to the schools, we had problems. So why do we want to do this next to a elementary school? Let me, just tell me.
What if there's no
Judy, you
school?
tell me why.
It was American,
was-
it's ADA accessible as well. You know, yes, you are, because you've had to see the ugly side of the communities, and I get that. I get that. And I know that we're supposed to be responsible. It's not just the Salmon Enhancement Group that's going to do it. I mean, we're going to be partners with them. And you are asking me some questions that have to be worked out, and you know that as well as I do. You first of all, you have to make sure that you have the money to be able to do the project. Otherwise, you do have to, I mean, I haven't talked to anybody yet, but I've lots of questions, yes, but whenever I've talked to people, they've wanted to see something like that that's accessible for handicapped people to fish. You know, originally that was used as a place for the kids to use, and they let salmon, you know, fry go there in the creeks. That's what it used to be used for. Ken even knows that. I mean, let's not talk about this now, okay? It's just really disappointing. But anyway, let's move on. Anything for the old business? New business?
Yes, September 12th, can we do something for budget wise? So what I'm planning for the 100th anniversary of the Port of Allyn is to have the Salmon Enhancement Group, excuse me, the Salmon Group guys fry salmon. We'll make fry bread. We need a band. Leanne has been working very hard on making sure we have the same bent vine beer garden. So we need a budget for our 100th anniversary. So,
I'll put one together and present it next month.
right.
And Vine is doing it for free. Woo!
Outstanding. I think everybody wants to just enjoy the day. So.
Okay, the next one is the use of our the fees for the port facilities. And I didn't know that you sent out a new revised one.
No, it came with your original packet. There
Yeah,
was the original one from last month and a revised one, but they came in the same email. And the revised one is the one we need to be using.
okay, I'm not sure if I have the right one. So let me see if I can find it.
Are you talking about the revised facility, Larry?
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
now I gotta find it.
The marina rates.
Are we talking about the marina rate survey right now? Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
just want to stay connected here. Okay,
Yeah,
I've
just
got
hold
it in
on.
front of me.
I've got to get it up.
All right.
I lost it here. I
All
had it and
And I ask one
Okay.
question, and I think it's going to be the whole commissioners. Can we lock down the North Shore facility? And I know when I talked to Larry and Leanne, they said, no, it's part of the RCO grant that we got that facility, but I would like to lock it down. So
What's your purpose for locking it down?
security,
I agree.
I would love to see some security up there, just whether it's a flashing screen door to come in and you have to do a card. I would love to see it secured, and I think we could do a whole lot more business if that facility was locked down. I don't want my boat there. Oh,
Oh, okay, so are you talking about, can you clarify that, Mr. Jackson? So are you talking about the whole facility or just the dock, where it's actually, if they
no,
have
sir.
key access?
The dock is always open. It's just the marina itself. When you walk through the marina, I would just love to see a secured access to go in.
Oh,
So,
okay,
So you
Yeah,
mean
the
just a
dock-
secure access?
okay. So you're
Yeah.
not talking about putting a gate up at the launch ramp and all that. You're actually specifically
No,
talking about,
no,
okay,
no. The
okay, just to
launch
qualify.
ramp needs to stay open. I still think if all the launch ramps in Mason County, I think we still have the best one there in Hood Canal.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I understood. All right. All right. I'm like, gee whiz, that's going too far. But okay, I like to make a comment on that. I think there's some big value in that from a liability standpoint to, safety issues to the security standpoint. I mean, and then you can't just come and go, and then they got to go through a lot of effort if they've done that, gotten there inappropriately, so just some what do you call accountability? Yeah, I guess that's a
But-
good way to put it.
But we have some problems, as Leanne and Larry has talked to me about, is that we have an RCO grant to make sure that marina is open to the public.
Yeah.
And I would rather have it secured.
Well, we should look into that, Mr. Jackson, right? And see if there's, and then have that discussion, I think.
I have an idea about that. I'm going to talk to James Weaver at the Port of Bremerton. I know they've gotten some RCO funding at Port Orchard and at Bremerton Marina. And I have moored my boat in both places, and I know that there's security gates there with a code you have to put in. I want to find out what they did or didn't do or how they got that, because that's what I think we need.
Thank you, Larry, because that's exactly what we need. It's the same thing at the Port of Bremerton. When I used to put my patrol boats down there, I used to have the same code. So thank you. And if you can work that out, I think we can expand the Port of Allyn on the North Shore. I'm sorry, Judy. We can expand it at least 5 or 6 slips out. And we can actually do something positive for some people, because a lot of folks, as I told every one of you, is that we are just looking at mooring our boats for the summer. So let's do 3 months, make it secure. We have our security cameras, and let's charge the going rate. So.
Okay, Larry, do you want to walk us through this proposed fee
Hey,
changes?
Leanne has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. Just work with RCO. And, I've been to so many marinas and they are locked. Usually there's an office right there for people to come in and get a code right away. I don't know, maybe we can do it like keep it unlocked during the day. We'll just have to work with RCO, but there's got to be a way. I agree. And
I have an idea for that. What we could do would be get another cell phone number and just put it up there, to get the code, call this number, have it be the voicemail that you get when the phone answers,
Yeah.
and let that be that.
Okay.
How about if we create a little bit of a restaurant right next door?
Oh, that would be so awesome. Yeah. And on the other note, as far as the slips out there, we have always advertised 10 slips for RCO. So we have to keep those recreational. I'm not sure how long that goes, but we got the grant while I was still working here. So we'll have to see how long the restrictions are that RCO has. But if we can find funding to add another finger pier to add more slips, we can do what we want as long as it's not through RCO. So,
And that might be a good topic for the lobbyists next month.
yeah.
I think we have enough space down there to do that. So,
We do.
yep.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
anyway, going through this, as you can see for the marina fees, I have worked through a whole bunch of different marinas, and it's just, well, hold on, I got the wrong document up here. Let me get the right one. I want revised facility. That's not it. That wasn't what I wanted to do. Hold on, I'm having technical problems. I think it's a user error here. In fact, I know it's user error. Why that won't work, I don't know.
So Larry, as a look, Port Kingston is $1.35 per square foot of boat. Port Lolo is 110. Zilla is 125. And we're below that. We're way below that.
I know we are.
Yeah. And can you do me, there it is.
Here it
The
is.
Port of Grapeview is $7 to launch, $5 to park. I'm looking at Grapeview Marina. I know it's separate from the port, but 75 per year. You know, I would never put my boat out of the Port of Allyn. I would put it in the Port of Allyn and Hood Canal just because of the winds. I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Unless we had a breaker, unless we had something, but we can do something at the Port of Allyn that I think would a lot of us would pay to launch our boat or keep our boat at $75 a year at the Hood Canal rate. I love Hood Canal. Always fish Hood Canal. Always swim in Hood Canal. So I'm just looking at your rates, our rates.
Did you find the,
Yeah, I'm sorry, Judy. I'm now I'm
The one
getting
that says,
excited.
I am mistaken. The one that says revised is the wrong one. It's the one that says facility rate recommendations is the correct one.
Oh,
Okay.
oh,
It's my mistake here. And that's why I couldn't find what I was looking for.
I was just gonna send you the marina rate survey, so that's not even the right one then.
It's the one that says facility rate recommendations.
Oh, okay. All right,
That's the one.
I don't have.
Not the
Oh,
revised facility rate recommendation.
all right, I don't
Good, I
believe
can
I
look
have that.
No,
well, I
it was-
have that
it
one in
was
front
the
of me.
Documents that you got for the meeting.
Yeah, actually, I have that one sitting in front of me. So
Yeah.
that's helpful.
Judy, what meeting, what date was that sent to you?
They
Ooh,
were
are you
all, they
talking-
they were both sent on Friday. I just included the wrong one that I didn't mean to.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I have it. And matter of fact, some of this deals with the RCO funding. and-
Let's
You
take
know.
these one item at a time, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at all of the other marinas, they average out to $1.19 a foot, but only because Gerald's Cove and Port of Olympia are at $1 and Port Orchard Marina is at $1. Hood Canal down here in Union is $1.50. Port of Kingston's $1.35 plus a $7 reservation fee that didn't count in the average. And Fair Harbor is $1.25 plus a $15 admin fee. So that's our nearest competitor. So we would be on a par with them without the admin fee. And talking to the harbor master at the Port of Olympia, he said that they are going to be looking at raising their rates as well. But what it is right now is $1. And then Gerald Cove talked to that guy. He was like, well, it's been $1 for a long time. I think I'll just leave it there. So, you know.
Well, I see your recommendation is $1.25 per foot per day. I think that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Personally.
And, you know, this is a public hearing, so I don't know if anybody
Yeah.
from the public wants to testify, but I don't see anybody from the public logged in at this point, except somebody called concerned citizens, but I have
We
no idea
do
what
this.
that is.
I think we need to officially.
Fair Harbor is a deep port.
Jeff
I
is
used to
logged
launch
in.
my patrol boats down there when I couldn't do it at the port of Allyn. So can we cut that in half, Larry? It is, I would rather launch my boat at Grapeview and then at Port of Allyn.
We're
and
not
then
talking about the launch fee right now. We're talking about just the moorage fee.
But at the same time, you have to moor or you have to come in. So. I would cut it down.
What are you saying on that one? That, I mean, we're not going to make a decision. We're not necessarily going to make a decision tonight, but what are you saying, that you don't want it? You're not even looking at $1.25 per foot per day? You're looking at like 75
I would
cents?
reduce the amount because.
Well, we're at $1 now.
Okay, let's do, I would propose $1.15.
Okay, Leanne brought up a point of order about public hearing. You want to expand on that?
Yeah, we didn't officially recess the regular meeting to go into the public hearing. So we need to do that.
Yeah, are we?
We can do it right now.
I forgot that we were even going to have a public hearing. I thought we were going to discuss this, and because we probably need more info.
Yeah, the more.
Oh, yeah, it
public
is. Sorry,
about it,
missed
yeah.
it.
The more public input is fine.
Yeah.
The only member of the public is Jeff and whoever concerned citizens is, but you know,
Yeah, we can just do it right.
we still need, yeah, we need, I was just gonna say that we still need to do it correctly.
Well, okay, we can close this out for the regular meeting, open the public hearing, and then discuss.
All right, I'll go ahead and make a motion to do that.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
All right, in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Actually, we didn't have to do that, but that's okay.
I'm curious, I am curious what some of the public, the little bit that came on here for this evening, what their thoughts are that, because they're part of that
Yeah,
conversation.
and I'd like to hear from a user who actually uses it all the time.
Sure. And we may need to be a little bit, we may need to have this conversation with a little bit more, because there's a lot of people out there would like to be part of that dialogue, you know, so.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I'm not necessarily for raising rates, but on the other hand, we got to cover our costs too.
Oh, yeah.
And all of the, we just spent lots of money on these cameras to verify. We've been losing money in the past, and
I mean, quite honestly, I need to look into this matter more before I make a good conscious decision on this at some point when we want to do that. So
sure.
There you have that. And then I want to hear from the public as well, do my own research, right? What are we really covering our costs, or how much more than the cost that it is for us, the base costs that we need to be getting back. So I want to look at all that.
Yeah, well, let's move along and let's Larry, walk us through what you prepared, and then we can kind of dialogue on this.
Okay, well, you need to close the public hearing, and if.
Okay,
unless
because we
Jeff
don't
or-
have really any public, so we'll
I
close
was
the
gonna say,
public
Jeff,
hearing.
do you have anything to say here?
You're muted.
Yeah.
Mr. Carey, you're muted.
Yeah. He's trying to unmute.
Yeah, okay.
There we
There we
go. We're unmuted. No, I mean, if you're going to use the basis of, your cost, then obviously somebody needs to work up the numbers, what it costs you to run, that part of the program, and to cover your costs. I'm not a boater, so all I would really care is that it's fair across the board, and that if the issue is that you really got to cover the costs, then make sure you've covered it. But at the same time, don't price it out of, and it doesn't
Right.
sound like you are, but don't price it out outlandish type pricing. So other than
No.
that's all I have to say.
Yeah, no, that's good because Mr. Capella has done quite a good comparison here on the other marinas, and then we just have to take it a step further. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Okay, you
Well-
need to close the public hearing if concerned citizens who is unmuted has anything to say. If they don't, then you need to close the public hearing and then we can discuss it.
Yeah, do I hear anything from concerned citizen? Okay. Moving on, let's go ahead and close the public hearing. Now we'll
Okay.
open up the regular meeting and let's discuss this, and if you would walk us through this.
Okay, so the recommended $1.25 per foot per day is from May 1st through September 10th. That's our real busy season for moorage. You can see the rates from everybody else. I think the rates speak for themselves, and that's why I recommended $1.25 per foot per day, because the average, even with the three small ones at $1 a day, it still averages out to $1.19. And like I said, Port of Olympia is going to raise it, and it's going to probably become $1.25 as well, from what their harbor master told me. And then the monthly off-season rate, which has been good for us because it's been so cheap. We filled up the Hood Canal Marina pretty much, and we actually had some at Allyn. We had that 45 footer there until this weekend. Those are my dogs, yes. Sorry. Anyway, the average is a 1021 per foot per month. And so my recommendation was $950 per foot per month, plus $50 for electricity, and do not allow liveaboards. But those are my recommendation. And then at Hood Canal, like Leanne pointed out earlier, only 10 of those slips are RCO funded. So we've got 2 that could be monthly slips at $950 per foot. And we have we'll probably fill those without a problem. And what some of them were talking about, rather than pay the $1 per foot per day that it is now, is to go anchor out for 12 hours and come back for 12 hours. And I think that's got all kinds of potential for disaster. So what I recommend is that we reduce that 12 hours to 4 hours, because anybody that is going to go to Hood Canal, they're going to be there. They're not going to be there 4 hours because there's nothing to do and there's nowhere to go. And in Allyn, they can walk to a restaurant and go shopping or do whatever they want to do in 4 hours. So 4 hours seems like a more reasonable time than 12. So anyway, those are my recommendations, that we raise the per foot per day during the boating season to $1.25 per foot per day, that we off season move it to $950 per foot per month, plus $50 for electricity with no liveaboards, and that we make 2 of the slips at Hood Canal $950 per foot per month with no liveaboards and $50 for electricity. We're
So
losing
Larry,
money, like,
I
we're losing
agree with
money on
you.
electricity right now at $25. Just so we know.
Say that again. I didn't hear you, Larry. What?
We're losing money on electricity at $25, which is what our current charge is.
Okay.
Commissioner Scott, Larry, I agree with you 100%. Alls I want to see is some security on that front gate. And Leanne, Larry, and I work on making sure the RCO understands that we need to provide some security. And that's all I ask. I think what Larry proposed was outstanding. We just need to put a front gate, and then it's like Gig Harbor. I think Judy Scott and gosh darn it, Brian Peterson and all these knuckleheads want to bring Gig Harbor into Belfair, but we just need a front gate there. So we really do. And that's the only reason why a bunch of us don't want to moor our boats there. So.
Well, I'm going to look into that because I agree with you 100%. You know, if we can provide security, I think we'll fill that place up with no problem.
I believe it. We can expand that because it's such a protected cove. We can expand our harbor out there. So, and as somebody told me when I ran for port commissioner, we need to bring cruise ships into Allyn. So that was a joke.
Well, you know, they're coming to Bremerton.
Yeah, no, they're coming to port.
About that, the small one.
I know.
Actually, been discussed.
Seriously, they are coming to Bremerton.
I know they're coming to Paulsboro too. So,
Yeah.
and the young pilot that just got, never mind.
So anyway, going back now, so those are my recommendations for moorage. Launch fee. Our current fee is $8. It's been that for 5 years, and $5 to park, $10 for overnight parking for a total of $18. Recommended increases would be $10 to launch, no increase to park, total of $15 or $20 for overnight parking. That would generate about $1,612 based on our 2020 pay station launch revenue as both locations. However, the Allyn pay station wasn't active until July, so the increase could be more, you know, for what that's worth. And annual passes, they're $75 a year. If we raised them to $95, even with that increase, launch and park rates above are still a bargain. If someone launches and parks 7 times over the course of a calendar year, they've saved money over the increased launch fees. In 2020, we sold 54 annual passes, so generating this change will generate another $10,080 a year, and probably more if we raise the launch fees. Port of Great View charges $85 for an annual pass, and combined raising annual pass and launch fees would generate an estimated $26.92 in revenue over the year, but it could generate more because, like I said, the pay station at Allyn was only there for 6 months.
I'm sorry, Commissioner. If the other 3 commissioners agree, is that we have 3 duck blinds at the Union River. I started those things when I was a pup as a game warden, and we bring them in to the Port of Allyn. And Larry, I think you got some of the emails. Leanne, you probably did too.
Yeah, I did.
I would love to see these things stay in existence. It's a great duck hunting opportunity. And we have Ducks Unlimited involved, and I'm involved. But they always ask that after 2 or 3 years, they bring the duck blinds out and they bring them up to the Port of Allen just to clean them out. So, and they've always asked us for permission. I would like to make us establish that they always have permission to do that. It is a wonderful place to shoot ducks. It's a wonderful place to hunt. And so if the other two commissioners agree, we can just pass it on. So they don't have to ask permission anymore. We've been doing it for a lot of years. So
I thought they already brought it on and repaired them already. Did they not?
oh, they're doing it this weekend, Chair.
Oh, is
They're
that what it
doing
is?
it this weekend? And yes, ma'am. Yeah, they're working on it, and if anybody ever wants to go out there, let me know. I could take you out there. But this is a good group, very good group. So,
Leanne?
Yeah, we've always said yes, but I do need to know because now we have a system where we do reservations online for boaters. So I just need to know what dock space is taken up. That's all.
So Leanne, how can we do that where just they call in and say, hey, we're Ducks Unlimited. We're just going to work on the blinds.
That sounds fine to me, just as long as it's kind of like the gazebo rentals. There's groups that just want to go down and picnic, but they call in to make sure it's not rented out already. So just so I can coordinate rentals or reservations with them and make sure they have space and the reservations have space. This time of year,
I will make sure that those folks have your phone number and email if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Just to make sure we
as long as the other commissioners agree. I think it's a great program. Believe me, I know. So.
Yeah, I thought we already did agree that could be. It's just a matter, again, like with making sure it's okay, reservation wise.
Yeah, that's my only request.
Giddy up.
Well,
we'll get it done.
Can we move on? And Larry, you want to continue walking us through that?
Okay, the wedding venue rate survey. This is like, I don't know how to describe this because this was like a major cluster. Because there's no apples to apples comparison between any of these. I mean, we looked at a dozen of them and there's just no apples to apples to compare. It's Fair Harbor Marina, which is closest to us, is $1,500 for a basic package, but it includes Saturdays or Mondays. And on season Friday is $3,300, off season Friday, $2,700, on season Saturday is $3,500, off season $2,850. On season Sunday, $3,300, off season $2,750. You can only have 50 or less people. You get it for 5 hours, but it's available for 10 hours on premium days, 1 hour rehearsal the day before. They got to get a banquet license, event insurance, no parking attendants are included. They'll accept reservations up to 18 months, first come, first served. Deposit of $1,000 is required to book a reservation. All fees must be paid 8 weeks in advance, and you can see our comparisons. We're way underneath of our nearest physical competitor.
So Larry, if
so many ways.
If you don't mind me asking, I have not been up to Fair Harbor. So what kind of facilities is their facilities better than ours, more facilities?
They have a real nice indoor, outdoor kind of facility.
Okay.
And it's similar to the Gazebo outdoors. It's just, a covered pavilion kind of thing. And then they have a real nice indoor facility. So
they square footage wise, they have more.
It's about the square footage wise, probably about the same. The gazebo is bigger square footage wise than their pavilion.
Okay,
The indoor facility is about the same as ours, but you know, we don't let people get married in our indoor facility. We just let them get married outside. So, and then we got a couple of other places, 525 in Tacoma, which is a real popular one. It's $2,000 for the basic package, and it's 3 hours Monday through Thursday, weekends depending on availability. 9,400 Monday through Thursday, July through September, and it's available 12 hours. $10,000 Friday through Sunday, July through September, available 12 hours. 8,400 October through December, May and June, Monday through Thursday. And see what I mean about there's like no rhyme or reason to compare with. Edgewater House in Olalla, 3,700 during season, off season 2,900. Everything else is extra. A lot of places include a bar and a bartender. We don't. Kitsap Conference Center, $500 for the ceremony only, $1,000 for the reception space. Off season, $500 for the ceremony, $500 for the reception space, but everything else, tables, chairs, bars, bartender, etc., are extra. Gold Mountain Golf Club on season, $1,500. Reception space is another $1,500. Off-season wedding venue is still $1,500. The reception space goes down to $1,250, and it includes a bar and a bartender. Ocean 5 in Gig Harbor has no seasonal rates. It's basically a nice restaurant with a large meeting room where the ceremony and reception both take place. $500 for the wedding, $500 for the reception space. Everything else is extra. Courthouse Square in Tacoma, wedding venue $750, reception space $600. You have to reserve both or they won't guarantee the wedding date. Off season, they're $600 each. I love this one. Silver Cloud Hotel in Tacoma, $800 off season, $500 or $800. Off season, it's $500. However, you must book the reception at the hotel or they won't do the wedding. Reception space on season, $15,000. Off season, $8,000. So, like I said, you know, there's no apples to apples comparison here. There just isn't.
Well, Larry, isn't there there's years back when my daughter got married, but we looked at a lot of different options. And I mean, there's like out at the Katy Lake, there's a place out there. There's a venue for that. There was anyway. And then out in Greatview, there's a marina.
That's the first one I talked about.
Oh, I'm
Fair
sorry.
Harbor.
Yeah, Fair Harbor.
Oh, okay.
That's Greatview.
Okay.
You could probably look at Seaback also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do Seaback.
Yeah.
But anyway, I recommend that we increase the gazebo fee to $1,500 and keep the meeting room fee at $250, which is what it is now, and that we don't raise the table and chair fees. And so $1,750, you can get married and have the reception. And in looking at all the rest of these, that's pretty darn reasonable.
Yeah.
I wish that's what I pay.
I think that sounds pretty good, really.
And then we increase our half-day fee for non-weddings to $750. Right now it's $399. And increase our hourly fee to $125 with a minimum of 2 hours. Right now it's what, $75, I think. And we standardize a nonprofit and community group rate at $50, which is our basic cost to have Don go down there, turn the power on, get everything, you know, make sure everything's working, and then go turn it off when they're done.
Yeah.
So Larry, what do we do with the yoga groups that go down there every morning? They don't pay, and I don't want them to pay. I really don't. I just want them to appreciate the Port of Allyn.
What our policy has always been is if it's not reserved, they're free to use it.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
and
that's,
as long as they don't use power or anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if they-
thank you.
Deposit-
I think that's what we needed to keep it as constant as that. So,
Yeah. No,
Thank
we
you.
we understand it. We want people to come and use the facility.
Yeah.
But if we got to turn the power on, it costs us $50 to turn it on and turn it off. I mean, that's basically.
So I would, I don't know if we need a motion or,
Well, do you
No.
want to, we should do another public hearing or,
Yeah.
because we haven't had any public, so let's wait. And
okay,
Thank you.
unless you, with the launch fees, that might be a separate issue, but
Yeah.
I kind of think we should roll this all together. Yeah,
I
Leanne, go
agree.
ahead.
In the
Yep.
past, we've gone ahead and done a legal notice for a public hearing, so maybe
Okay.
let's do that for our next public hearing. Just so more people here that we're looking at it and they can.
Yeah. Thank you, Leanne, because, and that's what they want. It's not so much that in my opinion, that from what I can tell is that it's people don't necessarily disagree, but what they don't like is when we move, well, you think about the bigger audience out there that doesn't participate, right? But doing a legal notice, we want them to know what we're doing. And I think that actually says a lot. So I appreciate that.
All
Yeah,
right.
so let's table the remainder of it and we can do generally we can do a public hearing at the beginning if you want, or earlier. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We've got unless we want to do a special one during the month, we can do that.
Hey, Chair, if you don't mind, on the June meeting, why don't we put up our rates, our new rates, and then we can just have it at the front. I mean, it's your choice, but we can just put up our new rates. And I do agree with Larry and Leanne that we do need to increase our rates. And then we could have a public hearing and go from there, if that's something that you're interested in, so.
Well, I don't know if we can post them yet because then
We can propose them as proposed.
Okay,
Propose. Sure. Because we haven't voted on it. Put it out as a proposal and I'll let you know how I feel.
yeah, and then with that, state when the public hearing is and
Yeah.
the time.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll
Yeah,
get the
that'd be
notice in the
perfect,
paper.
in my opinion, that'd be
Okay.
great.
Yeah, just have that be part of the legal notice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so we can move on to discussion about the Jeff Carey's well test request. I'd kind of like any comments first before I start, or
No, ma'am, go right ahead.
you were at our DOE meeting, Ted, Commissioner, and
Yes, ma'am.
it was with the DOE representatives there. There were two of them there. This was February 12th. And also our engineer. And the question was asked, can they mandate that Jeff uses a test well, our test well? And they said, no, they really can't mandate that they use our test well. And I just like to move forward. Jeff, we'll let you talk about this, but you haven't been willing to sign the agreement, and that puts the port at risk. And I'm just concerned about our fiduciary responsibility of, if you're not willing to sign that, that we need to just get it off the table and say no. Leanne?
There's also two other water systems, Lakeland Village and Washington Water, that could be used as test wells too.
Yeah. So I'd just like to kind of make the decision, are we going to, or are we not going to? I don't think it's going to stop Brad from doing what he needs to do. We just need to move forward.
So can Chair, can we just please hear from Jeff, please?
Sure, but I'd like to hear from you guys too.
Well, here's my opinion, is that we are a government agency that should never stifle private enterprise. And I'm still trying to identify a few things, but I'm struggling. I really am struggling about what is right, what is wrong. I would like to see Mr. Carey and his family go on and be successful. I would also like to see the Port of Allyn be successful. But I just have I'm really struggling right now. And I hope, I have been reading so many documents, and I know you have too, but I'm just having a tough time making my decision. My decision right now is for us to approve Mr. Carey to test our system, just like Scott Cooper did before he resigned, and let him test our system. So that's my decision, but I am struggling. It is, I want to make sure the Port of Allyn's taken care of, but I also want to make sure that the next person or the people that we represent are thriving. So I hope that makes sense, but
Yeah, there's my concern. If Jeff isn't willing to sign the agreement, where does that put us? Puts us in the
it
taxpayer's
may put us
liability.
in a position that we have to clean up our system.
Not sure what you mean by that, but because we're operating as we should, and
If there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong. I don't want to hamper another person from making money. And that's my system. So
So I need the agreement explained to me, and I need to see it.
Oh, yeah, you haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
No, I looked through everything you guys had all sent me, and I know that I know we're all playing nice, so that's not the issue. But I don't have it, Leanne. If you have sent it to me, it's an oversight on my part.
No,
Okay,
I
well,
didn't
if-
send it to you, John.
well,
and
if you haven't,
That's my fault.
yeah, if you haven't seen it, there's no point. We're
No.
gonna table this then. There's no point. We're not gonna.
There's no way on God's green earth I'm gonna do that, go down
No.
that road without everything in front of me.
Okay, we're gonna table this.
Okay.
Sorry, Jeff, do you want to say anything? I'm sorry.
He's muted.
Hold on, let me unmute him here. There you
Okay, you got me, Larry.
go. Okay.
No, I comprehend the board's decision. The one reason for not signing it at this point is we've had a few things to work through, obviously, from appointments to, to the board reviewing it. Remember one thing, I'm not trying to test the port's water system. We're trying to use it as an observation to know what kind of impact we have. And one of the reasons we picked the port's water system, especially when I wrote up the request back in October, was that there are, especially during the winter months, there's gaps in time, like 4 or 5, maybe as many as 7 days, where the pump is not pumping into your reservoir. And these were things that, as I understand from Robinson Noble, they were looking for those kind of conditions for the most quiet wells in the same aquifer. That's part of the issue with Lakeland Village, Washington Water, is the activity factor. And so one of the reasons we looked at the port is not because it's the port, not because of all the different issues that have been raised over the last 6-7 months, but mainly because from an engineering point of view, it was a quiet well a number of days each week. And the more quiet it is, it would give the engineers a better read of what the impacts are of our various water systems. And in my case, it's for the water rights that we applied for back in 2004. So so that's the background related to the water test. And the only reason I haven't gone further with the the agreement is because we've had a number of things in play. And the port really hasn't till tonight, at least got close to, saying, are we going to make a decision or not? And I don't have a problem with the fact that, you need all the data in front of you, but the agreement there, to my way of looking at it, is, Larry outlined some points. I brought some points to his attention. I don't think they're resolved. I think they can be resolved, but anything that's dealing with other parties, whether they're related or not, as different entities, those issues probably won't be resolved because it's another party. In the case of my brother, whatever he does, is a voter, taxpayer, citizen. He has his opinion on things. I think that explains at least a number of things. And the fact that 6 months has gone by and now we're coming into the the busier pumping season, we're going to have to redraft and relook. I'm sure the engineering's going to have to relook at it before we would, even if you said go tonight, there would definitely have to be a reevaluation on the engineering to make sure. Obviously, it would be on our intent that if we're observing using your well, that we always test, before we come on board, so that everybody's assured of what we're running into. And when the observation is done, it's tested again at that point, whatever those tests might be. But we do not want to enter the well without everything being proper. When I say proper, I mean adequate. I realize you have tests being done, but anytime you introduce somebody doing as an observation, there's tests you do before and tests once it's wrapped up. So anyway, I think
So Mr. Carey, can you reiterate one part of that when you started talking about why you didn't sign the agreement? Obviously, I need to look at this, right? So I'm going to, and then I might be looking at that before I see you again on a meeting like this, public meeting. What is it?
Well, I would just look at the copy that was sent to Larry.
I will. I want to know
in other words, what I'm saying is I don't have it in front of me. So in other words, either. So I mean, basically, I didn't know what you're going to do for sure.
Oh.
And in that document, there's some things that I outlined, and then Larry pointed out some things. And then when we kind of stalled out, it didn't make sense to go further. Yeah. And then when I handed in an appointment, like yourself, to be considered,
you didn't like the agreement. You didn't like the agreement, but I was just wanting to know why. That's okay.
Yeah, one aspect tied another relationship with this agreement. In other words, my brother, in the case of Brad, to this agreement, which they're not the same. I mean, it's a non-starter if we're talking about those types of things. Because I'm related to somebody does not, we're two different entities. We're a separate corporation trying to do something that's totally different from Brad.
All right.
So.
Fair enough. Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's my 2 bits on that.
All right. Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Going to the approval of the resolution. Are we going to number that 423?
Yeah, I'll change the number on it before you all sign it. So just when you make the motion, refer to it as resolution 423.
Okay. I'm going to have to try to pull that up again. Give me just a moment. Does anybody have it?
No, I'm right behind you. I'm trying to pull it up again.
Okay.
Judy, do you have it?
Not yet.
Okay. Resolution.
Well, yeah, it's basically the Board of Commissioners, Port Allen. Previous one at Kitsap Bank was closed. But anyway, do you guys want me to send it? What's going on?
Go ahead and read it. If you have it in front of you, John, read it. And
I do.
Okay, we'll just change the number to resolution 423.
Okay. All right. This is interesting. Okay, so
go ahead and read it.
All right, I'll read it. Okay, be it resolved by the Commissioners of Port Allen as follows, whereas the Board of Commissioners of Port of Allen have met, considered the need for a petty cash bank account after the previous one at Kitsap Bank was closed unilaterally by bank. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners, after duly considering all relevant evidence, does hereby resolve to establish a new petty cash bank at Key Bank. Is that the right one?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay,
So.
because it doesn't have the number on here.
No, because we have
Okay.
we need to revise that part because it will be 423, correct?
Got it.
So with that correction, do I hear a motion to accept resolution 423?
I'd
I'll
say
make a
so.
motion. I'll
A
make a
motion.
motion to make the corrections of 423 to reflect the proper information.
Do I
I
hear a
second
second?
it.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, so moved. Next to the discussion of the design for the commemorative centennial artwork by James Kelsey.
Does, can I say something here, Chair? I love James Kelsey. He did something for the police officers of Tacoma that I'll never, ever forget. And if you ever go by the Tacoma Police Station, he did something that I used to go by every week. So if we can get Mr. Kelsey to do something at the Port of Allen, I'm 100% behind it.
Did you get to look at the artwork, either of you?
Yes.
I have not looked at the artwork, but
cool.
I just hope it's something that was a big wave, and I just hope it's something pretty. Have you, anybody been through the Tacoma Police Department?
No.
Yes.
Okay, if you walk through the Tacoma Police Department, you understand what I'm talking about. And I believe Mr. Kelsey has our heart in his art. So I will trust what he's doing. And I hope he has something very creative. And I don't know how much it's going to cost, but I'd love to see it. And when we see it, we'll approve the cost. But he's done some amazing artwork for law enforcement. So I'm always behind him.
Yeah, the
So-
cost is always going to be the issue, right? But yeah,
Giddy up. Yep.
we
So
don't
Larry,
want to.
I-
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, John.
Okay, no, because I was gonna say I'm on board for it, but and I like the one with the flowers and the thing around the centerpiece, right? And then the relationship with a young person, stick person. But I kind of get what's going on there, and it's all about a connection, building relationships. That's what I'm reading into it, but that's where I'm going with it. But then again, I've seen artwork that had some meaning that some agencies have paid a ridiculous amount, and we need to be responsible, even though we like it, and make sure that, there can be people out there that really relate to this, to get involved with the project, to help it happen, and we can get some money saved. So I want to be looking at all that to not waste taxpayer dollars on something that they really need. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay, Leanne?
Maybe during our 100-year celebration, we can pass the hat around and see who wants to donate to it.
Yeah.
We'll do some.
You know, Leanne, if you asked me, was there a totem pole at the Port of Allen?
Yeah.
I would say no.
It was donated.
You know how many nights I sat down there, and I would say there's a telephone pole, but there was not a totem pole. So, maybe we just, as commissioners, we need to start looking. I don't like artwork to be artwork. I want something to be functional and people appreciate. I see what's going on up there in Belfair, and I shake my head sometimes, but I think we could do something better. The totem pole was amazing, but Leanne, if you asked me how many nights I sat there and just went, All right, totem pole drunk driver. I'll get the drunk driver. So,
I have one other thing about that. We've had airlifts out of the park,
yes,
the medical, and they can't hardly land because of that thing. We're supposed to like put some strips on it so it's reflective, but yeah, it's rotted. It's just got to go.
We can move it.
No, no, we can't really. And the history of the pole, when I first came here, it was an issue with it starting to rot or already being rotted. And I did a lot of research trying to figure out where it came from. And I talked to the Squaxin tribe and they had no idea. And I talked to the Skokomish tribe and they had no idea about it. Nobody knew anything about it tribally. And finally, Scott did some research and he found out that Frank Kenny carved that and donated it. That it wasn't a tribal totem pole, it was just one that Frank carved up and gave to us.
Oh, well, that changes the conversation, in my opinion.
It does. And,
Oh.
and you know, as far as James Kelsey, I've known James Kelsey for probably 25 years, and I've seen a lot of his art. He did a lot of it at the Norm Dix building, and it was positioned outside of the conference room where a lot of different groups that I was part of at one time used to meet. So I got to see a lot of it. And he did that thing that's at the four-way stop.
Yeah, that's what I thought, in Belfair, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did that as well. He originally proposed that piece of art to be at the roundabout in Port Orchard at Tremont Street and Pottery. Excuse me, but couldn't get funding for it. The city didn't have the money. You know, it was right in the middle of the 2008, 2009 recession. The city didn't have the money. He proposed that we, you know, basically pass the hat and, you know, at all kind of public events. I donated the first money towards doing that, but it didn't raise enough money, anywhere near enough money to pay for it. So we just gave everybody their money back. And James, you know, it disappeared for a while, and James moved to Chehalis, and suddenly it turned up in Belfair. It's my understanding that Brian Peterson is the one who paid for it and put it there.
Well, it was a group, I think it was, there were several donators to that.
Excuse me.
Did Ted leave? What happened?
I don't know. He just disappeared.
Huh.
Oops.
So my question about the artwork, you know, did he draw that up for us?
He drew that.
So what is the materials made out of, that wave-like thing? Is it glass? Is it, what is it? Do
It's
you know?
either glass or plexiglass. I'm not sure.
It's metal on the outside, I think, and then the blue glass on the inside to create the.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Is
mean,
it-
when I saw the sketch, I was a little like, this is the best you could do for a sketch, but you know.
This is a little stick person.
Well, I thought it was the grandson, you know, a grandkid sharing something, because I didn't quite understand, but now I do, and so it makes sense. Okay, so well, let's continue to look at what he's got, and
Maybe it's a cup out in front of it with kids donating their little pennies for it. Ooh, it's a wishing well.
That's a stretch.
Okay.
Okay. That's what art is, whatever.
so Larry, you want to call Ted to see if there's anything
I
else?
just texted him just now. He texted me, says, I guess we're done. I said, not quite. So I don't know. I can give him a quick call though.
Okay. Well, we don't really have anything else on the table except other than public comment is next.
Okay, well, we only need 2 commissioners, so.
Okay. And
I'll
the
call
only
him
one
if you want. I'll call him if you want me to, but
I'm just surprised he left.
Yeah.
Anything?
Well, the last time I checked, you guys did need me. Or you needed somebody. Anyway,
Well, I'm glad you're here, John.
All right.
The only one I see is concerned citizens, and I don't see, Jeff, do you have anything for public comment? Okay. Okay, anything for the good of the order? The only thing I have is the possible North Mason Community Voice Forum. It's for suicide prevention. We've had some high numbers of suicide in North Mason area. It was brought to my attention, well, number one, it was Kat Ross that gave me this information, which was through Mason County Health. They were pretty high numbers, and so we will have a counselor. I can't remember how to pronounce it. It's the counseling office that's across the street from the Belfair Baptist Church in Belfair Landing, and her name is Belinda, and she's going to be speaking. And then we might get some other pastors to come, and it'll be at the Hub, May 27th, 7 p.m. Of course, it's not port related, but it's just good of the order.
Community.
And
Thank
that's
you.
all I have.
6,
7.
7.
Okay, is that it? Move to adjourn?
I make
So-
that motion.
Okay, second. We're adjourned. Thank you. Thanks for hanging in there.
All right.